trust isn't built through grand gestures. It's built in the quiet, in the way you speak when no one's watching, in how you respond when it would be easier to walk away, in your ability to stay anchored when emotion wants to take control. The Stoics taught that character is revealed in consistency, not in what you say, but in how you show up. And nowhere is that more true than in love. In relationships, trust isn't given. It's earned, slowly, deliberately. And it's not just about proving yourself to the other person. It's about proving that you won't abandon your values when things get hard. That you can stay calm in chaos, honest in discomfort, present, even when your ego wants to run. This video is not about manipulating trust. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally creates it, and that begins from within. Part 1. Keep your word. Small promises matter most. Trust isn't built on dramatic gestures. It's built on the quiet, boring, invisible things you do when no one's watching. It's in the text you send when you say you will, the call you return, even when you're tired, the promise you made in passing, and kept anyway. The Stoics taught that virtue is revealed not in words, but in action. Not in what you say, but in what you do consistently. And in a relationship, that principle is everything, because people don't stop trusting you because of one big betrayal. Most of the time, it's the slow erosion. It's the missed check-in, the forgotten follow-through, the small promises broken over time. And the worst part is, most of them were avoidable. We don't think much of these moments. It's just a text. I'll do it tomorrow. They'll understand. But that's how trust dies. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Every small broken word says, "You can't fully count on me." And eventually, the other person starts bracing for disappointment. Not because they want to, but because experience has trained them to. Keeping your word doesn't mean being perfect. It means being intentional. If you can't do something, don't promise it. And if you say you'll do it, do it. Even when it's inconvenient. Even when it doesn't feel urgent. That's how someone knows they can relax around you. Because your word holds weight. It means something. And when you slip, because you're human, don't hide behind excuses. Take full ownership. Say, "I said I'd do this, and I didn't. That's on me." No spin, no blame. Just responsibility. That's Stoic integrity. Owning your actions, repairing your impact. Speaking less, meaning more, because in the end, trust isn't built through intensity, it's built through consistency. One promise at a time, one day at a time. And if you're trying to rebuild trust that's been broken, this is where it starts. Not with grand apologies, not with emotional speeches, but with the next promise, the next follow-through. The next moment you show up exactly how you said you would. That's the only language trust understands. Part 2. Don't overshare, build trust, don't chase it. Trust is not something you chase. It's something you earn through presence, restraint, and consistency. But when people feel insecure, they panic, and they confuse oversharing with intimacy. They start pouring everything out, past wounds, every thought, every fear, hoping it will fast-track closeness. But the Stoics would call that what it is: a lack of discipline. Vulnerability is not about dumping your emotions on someone. It's about knowing when, why, and how to open up in a way that strengthens connection, not burdens it. Oversharing doesn't prove you're trustworthy. Often, it proves you're anxious. You're trying to make someone stay by overwhelming them with transparency. But that kind of energy doesn't create trust. It creates pressure. It makes the other person feel responsible for your emotional regulation. And when someone feels emotionally responsible for you, they don't feel safe with you. You don't have to bleed in front of someone to show them your heart. You don't have to explain every mistake, every trauma, every scar, especially early on. That's not bonding. That's broadcasting your insecurity and hoping they'll soothe it. The Stoic approach is different. It says, "I will be open, but not impulsive. Honest, but not chaotic. I will share from a place of calm, not panic. Not because I need your approval, but because I trust my own center. And here's the paradox. When you carry yourself with that kind of emotional discipline, people trust you more. Not because you've told them everything, but because they can sense you're anchored. You're not using them to fix your inner life. You're inviting them into it with care. That doesn't mean you stay distant or cold. It means you stay deliberate. You reveal at a pace that honors the relationship, not your anxiety. So before you spill everything, pause. Ask, am I doing this to connect or to control? Am I opening up to be known or to feel less afraid? Because trust built on panic always collapses. But trust built on steady, measured honesty, that's the kind that lasts. Share your truth, but keep your center. That's how a Stoic builds closeness, not by flooding someone with emotion, but by giving them something solid to lean on. Part 3. Be consistent, not perfect. A lot of people confuse trust with perfection. They think, if I never mess up, they'll trust me. So they perform, they posture, they try to be flawless, always calm, always right, always available. But the Stoics taught something much more sustainable and much more real. Don't aim to be perfect, aim to be consistent. Perfection is fragile. It shatters the moment you slip, but consistency is human. It says, I will show up as my honest self, again and again, even when I'm not at my best. In a relationship, no one expects you to get it right every time. But what builds trust is this. Do you respond with care when you're wrong? Do you try again tomorrow after a hard day? Do your values show up even when you're tired, frustrated, or triggered? That's what people are watching. That's what earns trust over time. Not flawlessness, but predictability grounded in integrity. It's easy to act kind when things are easy. It's easy to be patient when you're well rested. But who are you when it's uncomfortable? When it's tense? When it would be easier to walk away or shut down? The Stoics believed that character is forged in pressure. That's when your habits matter most, not the flashy moments, but the quiet ones. The ones where you do the right thing, not because it's noticed, but because it's who you've chosen to be. So show up the same way, again and again. Not perfectly, but reliably. Speak calmly, even when you're upset. Keep boundaries even when you feel guilty. Follow through even when you're tired, and when you fall short, own it. Don't spiral. Don't justify. Just say, I slipped, but I'm here. I'm still showing up. That's what builds real trust. That's what makes your presence safe. Consistency tells the other person, you can relax around me. I won't disappear when it's hard. I won't become someone else overnight. I'm not perfect, but I'm steady. You don't have to brace for the unexpected. I'll bring the same version of me tomorrow that I brought yesterday. That's what makes love feel like home. That's how Stoics build trust, through the repetition of small, intentional actions. Not once, not dramatically, but daily. And in the end, that's what earns trust. Not a perfect record, but a predictable presence. Part 4. Show. Don't swear. When people break trust, their first instinct is to promise. I swear I'll change. I'll never do that again. This time will be different. But Stoics didn't believe in swearing to prove your character. They believed in showing it through consistent action. Quietly, repeatedly, without theatrics, without asking for applause, because anyone can say the right words. Anyone can make a promise in a moment of guilt or panic. But not everyone can live out that promise when no one's watching. Not everyone has the discipline to become what they claimed they would be. In a relationship, if trust has been broken, don't say more, do more. Don't perform sincerity, practice it. Don't over-explain your intentions, demonstrate them. The person you hurt doesn't need to hear how badly you feel. They need to see how differently you show up now. Not just for a day, not just for a week, but long enough that your behavior becomes your baseline, not your exception. This is the Stoic way. You don't defend your reputation with words. You restore it through discipline. If you say you'll be on time, be on time. If you say you're working on being more present, put your phone down. If you say you're rebuilding trust, stop making it about your guilt and start making it about their experience. And if the other person doesn't immediately trust you again, don't demand it. That's ego talking. The Stoic accepts what? They can control their own conduct. The results, whether they forgive, whether they believe, whether they stay, are not yours to command. They come when your actions earn them. Let your apology be short and your change be long. Let your word be simple and your follow-through be steady. If you messed up, don't try to erase the past with promises. Redeem it by how you carry yourself now, because trust, once shaken, isn't restored through speeches. It's rebuilt every time you make a different choice. Every time you show up in alignment with what you said you'd be, not once, not loudly, but consistently. So, speak less, mean more. Don't just say you're trustworthy. Live like someone who is. That's Stoicism. That's how you earn belief, not by convincing them, but by becoming undeniable. Part 5. Create emotional safety, not control. Trust can't grow where control is present. That's the truth no one wants to hear. The more you try to manage your partner's every move, every thought, every reaction, the more fragile the relationship becomes. The Stoics knew that control is an illusion. You cannot shape another person's choices without slowly suffocating their freedom. And when someone starts to feel monitored, corrected, or constantly tiptoed around, they don't feel safe. They feel trapped. We confuse control with love. We think if they just do what we want, when we want, in the way we want, we'll finally feel secure. But that's not security. That's fear in disguise. And fear will always destroy the very trust you're trying to protect. Emotional safety comes from space, not pressure. From honesty, not control. From knowing that your partner can bring their full self to the table, not just the edited version you approve of. If they feel like they can't say the wrong thing, they'll stop saying anything. If they feel like they'll be punished for being human, they'll stop showing you their humanity. That's not connection. That's performance. And performance has no place in real love. The Stoic approach is different. It starts with self-control, not external control. You regulate yourself first, your fears, your doubts, your reactions. You become a steady presence. You let the other person be who they are, not who your anxiety wants them to be. That doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect. That doesn't mean you abandon boundaries. But it means you stop micromanaging. You stop assuming the worst. You stop demanding constant reassurance as proof of love. Emotional safety is created when both people feel free to be honest, even if that honesty is messy, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it means you don't always agree. And that only happens when you show your partner, I won't punish you for being real. I won't control you just to soothe myself. I'll bring my own grounding, so you don't have to carry my fear. That's what makes trust possible. That's what makes a relationship strong, not the absence of conflict, but the presence of safety to work through it. So let go of the grip. Choose clarity over control. Regulate your own emotion before you try to fix theirs. Because the one thing more powerful than being in control is being trusted. Part 6. Apologize with integrity, not guilt trips. A real apology doesn't come from shame. It doesn't come from a desperate need to be forgiven. It comes from clarity, from self-respect, from owning your impact without collapsing under it. The Stoics never apologized out of guilt. They believed in taking responsibility, not because they feared rejection, but because it was the right thing to do. But in relationships, apologies often become currency. People say I'm sorry not to repair, but to restore their image, to smooth things over quickly, to make discomfort go away. And when the other person doesn't immediately accept it, they get defensive. I said sorry. What more do you want? That's not an apology. That's a transaction. And the moment your apology becomes about you, it loses all weight. A true apology, a Stoic one, is quiet, clear, honest. It doesn't demand forgiveness. It doesn't seek to erase what happened. It simply says, I see what I did. I take ownership, and I am committed to doing better, whether you're ready to forgive me or not. You don't get to control how someone receives your apology. You don't get to rush their healing. That's their timeline, not yours. So stop trying to fix it with emotional pressure. Don't cry to make them comfort you. Don't spiral so they have to reassure you. That turns the apology into a guilt trip. It turns the hurt person into the caretaker. And that's not love. That's ego trying to restore control. Instead, pause, reflect, ask, what did I do? What was the impact? What part of this is mine to carry? And am I willing to carry it with grace? Then apologize like this. I see how that affected you. I take full responsibility. There's no excuse. I was wrong, and I'm committed to doing better. I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I just want you to know I understand now, and I'm not going to repeat it. This kind of apology doesn't plead. It doesn't perform. It stands tall, because it comes from someone who's rooted, not someone who's falling apart under their own guilt. And if they're not ready to come close again, you hold space. You let them take their time, because your integrity doesn't depend on their reaction. It depends on your consistency going forward. That's how trust is rebuilt. Not by saying sorry over and over, but by showing, again and again, that the lesson became a practice. Own what's yours. Don't over-apologize. Don't guilt. Don't beg. Just be better, and let your apology echo through your behavior. That's stoicism. That's emotional maturity. That's real love. Asterisk. Part 7. Build trust in yourself first, or you'll seek constant reassurance. If you don't trust yourself, no one else will ever be able to reassure you enough. That's the hard truth. You'll always be searching, not for connection, but for relief. You'll mistake closeness for safety. You'll depend on your partner to regulate your self-worth. And that's not love. That's dependence disguised as affection. The Stoics taught that the only true security comes from within, not from other people, not from circumstances, from your own ability to remain steady, no matter what changes outside of you. In a relationship, that means this: you can't build trust with someone else while you're still doubting yourself every day. You'll misread silence as distance. A delayed reply as rejection. You'll hear "I'm busy" and interpret it as "I'm leaving." You'll need constant reassurance, not because they're doing something wrong, but because you don't feel anchored in your own skin. And when that becomes a pattern, it creates pressure. Your partner starts feeling like they have to manage your emotional state. They can't relax. They can't be human. Because the moment they pull back, even slightly, the alarms in your head go off. The only way out is inward. You have to rebuild the foundation beneath your own feet. You have to start trusting your own ability to handle discomfort, to survive uncertainty, to not react to every anxious thought as if it were truth. Because the moment you stop needing reassurance, you stop mistaking fear for intuition. You stop interrogating the relationship every time it feels unfamiliar. You stop turning every small shift in mood into a crisis. The Stoic builds internal trust by observing themselves, watching how they respond under pressure, learning their triggers, practicing discipline, not in being emotionless, but in choosing not to act from emotion automatically. You build self-trust when you show yourself, I can handle this. I can sit with discomfort. I can speak up when needed. I can be still when silence is safer. I don't need to chase proof that I'm loved. I already know I am enough, regardless of how someone else is acting today. When you bring that kind of steadiness into a relationship, you become a calming presence instead of a storm waiting to happen. Your partner feels free, not responsible, for your peace. And that freedom, that's what allows real trust to grow. So stop looking outward. Start looking inward. Trust isn't given to those who demand it. It's given to those who embody it. If you can trust yourself fully, you'll stop needing someone else to prove anything. That's stoicism. That's confidence. That's the foundation of lasting love.